Alright folks, I'm not sure if my voice sounds different, but I've got a cold, so that would explain it if that's the case. So let's start, shall we? I have a slight underperformance for the week, down 0.05% compared to slightly up for the three comparators there. And let's have a look where that came from. What have we got here? UPS Assura up. Scottish Mortgage is still on a pretty good run at the moment. I hope it doesn't fall down from its from a peak just before I rebalance a bit with Fundsmith. Yeah, so the American smaller companies seems to have done badly. Well, same with the UK smaller companies as well. But yeah, not much else to say really, just the usual stuff. Things going up and down. I'm pretty sure Next Energy went ex-dividend. Yeah, it went ex-dividend on the 13th. I mean, that doesn't normally make such a big difference, but when something is yielding, over 12%, it makes a big difference, you know. So a big portion of that is just going ex. Yeah, Barclays and Natwest had their results this week. I won't say much about it, but it will be mentioned later. The Fundsmith portfolio had quite a few results this week. Costco's up a bit. Novo Nordisk is down another 10%. That's just gonna, I don't know at what point that's gonna make a comeback. Fortinet, another good week for that. So I guess yes, CrowdStrike, another good week for that. Anyway, there's the usual stuff. So the dividends, another very dry spell, £3.77 for the week. You can see them there. And then let's go through the news, shall we? So UPS has now announced its next dividend, because when I bought it, I wasn't sure what the next dividend was going to be. But as you can see, it's just kind of a token gesture, 1 cent increase, which is, I think that works out at about 0.5% maybe. 1 divided by 163. Yeah, 0.61% increase for the year. Yeah, so that's good. And it's had a pretty decent week as well, 2.75% up. Yeah, so outside of the portfolio, my Atom 2-year fix matured on the 9th of February. When was that? Yes, it was Sunday it matured. So yeah, they just send you a notification on the app, and then I just tap in there, send it to my bank account. So I've sent it to my bank account, and I've now got about, I've sent it into my Trading 2 Invest account, getting 4.9%. So I've got like about 10 grand in the Trading 212 account now. And I was going to put like maybe 6 grand or maybe 5 grand extra into the ERNS, the short-term bond fund. But then I realised that we're not far off coming into the new tax year. And then at that point, I'll be putting money into my SIP and my LISA. So I figured it's best to keep as much cash as possible. Then I can do all of that in one go instead of doing it separately. Because I've got 10 grand in cash at the moment, which is enough to do them both at the same time. But yeah, so I mean, in terms of the effect on my interest, obviously that has turned out, that 2-year fix that just ended, 6 grand that was there, it was at 4.15%. So we can see that at the very least, the second year of that was at a lower rate than I was getting with Trading 212. So yeah, in terms of my projected interest going forward, that now goes to 0, and I think it should automatically update the Trading 212 balance. Yeah, it's gone up to 16 grand. But obviously some of that is money market funds, which should be slightly higher. But anyway, it's just a rough estimate. But yeah, so my estimated interest has gone from 866 to 821. So yeah, that's pretty good. Although it's a bit annoying that I chose to do that and it turned out wrong. But yeah, as I've said before though, in my planning spreadsheet, I've accounted for a 3.2% overall interest rate, whereas I'll probably get about 4.34%. Obviously, I've accounted for 2 grand in my brokerage account, not getting any interest, and at the moment, I think that's about right. So if you average it out over the year, it should actually be quite a bit lower than that, because this is kind of the peak. You know, I'm not far off investing that couple of grand I've got in iWeb that's not getting any interest. I'm not far off investing it. Probably in April I'll probably do something with it when I've got more of an ISA allowance to use along with that 2 grand. And the next thing is the Barclays results came through. But yeah, as we can see, the market didn't like the results. It went down by about 6% on the day, and hasn't really recovered since then. It's roughly flat. Yeah, so the results weren't liked by the market, but yeah, I mean it's always the same though. I mean they issue results every 3 months. So if we the better way of looking at it is how's it done since 3 months ago. I mean, if we go, I'm just ballparking it here. We're up 13.58% roughly over the 3 months. So it's not so much that the results were bad. It's just that in the few days before the results, the market thought the results would be better. We only have to go back to February the 5th, 10 days ago, and the market had exactly the same expectations for the results. So it's just the usual case of thinking long term. Don't worry about a 6% drop on a day if the shares have gone up 13% over the last 3 months. I always expect things to go up and down, both down and up. Let's prioritise the order there and prepare yourself for bad days. I'm not qualified to understand these results. What was the one? I think it was something like 6% revenue growth or something. I did read it. I can't remember though. It's not really relevant. Here we go. Group income increased by 6% year on year. It's kind of meaningless. Anyway, the important bit is they've increased the dividend to 5.5 from 5.3. So that is for the final dividend divided by 5.3, it's up 3.7%. The final one is, but if you look over the full year, it's gone to 8.4p for the full year compared to 8.0, up 5% for the whole year. So yeah, that's the Barclays results. And then we got, well, let's go straight to the Natwest results since it makes sense to cover those at the same time. So the market reaction to it was pretty similar. It went down on the day. I can't remember exactly. Oh well, I think what happened was it saw the Barclays results, went down in sympathy here, and then a day later it had their own results and went down there. So down a pretty similar amount to what Barclays was. Yeah, so here's where Barclays and Natwest start to contrast. Natwest has increased its dividend for the year up by 26% compared to the 5%. The 5% from Barclays. So Natwest seems to be caring much more about their dividend than Barclays is. But I mean, they're also both doing. So Barclays have announced $1 billion worth of buybacks in 2025. If you look at that in terms of the market cap of the company, I'm not sure that this will be up to date there because we've learnt before that this section on Hargreaves Lansdown isn't up to date. But if we just do a rough estimate, ballpark figure, that's 2.3% of its market cap that Barclays is planning to buy back. So in a way, that 7% or 6% drop in the share price is good because that means the buyback is going to be more effective. It's buying more shares. But yeah, I was under the impression that Natwest announced a similar thing. I might have just imagined it there. Let's have a look. Will consider buybacks as appropriate. So yeah, maybe that's what I've read. And maybe I didn't read it. Maybe I just saw the word buyback and went away with the wrong idea. Yeah, so no, there isn't anything announced, I don't think. But as you can see, I'm not exactly on top of things. I just kind of let it happen, really. Don't pay that much attention. And also, in between those two, we had Scottish American with their final results. Yeah, so we can see here that they've announced their final dividend, and that makes for a total of 18.875 for the year, an increase of 5.5%. Yeah, so there we go. That concurs with my calculation as well, 5.5% higher for the whole year. And the increase in the dividend is 3% ahead of inflation over the year, and is supported by earnings per share growth of 7.5. So that's good. I still don't think they've got dividend cover, but the underlying growth is faster than the increase in the share price. So that means that it should be catching up. Because I think last year, this is another case of an investment trust choosing to lower their underlying dividends because they want to go for more growth. Because I think last year they were about 97%. I think, yeah, 97% covered dividend. So with the dividend growing by 5.5%, but the underlying earning growing by 7-odd%, it's catching up a bit, but shouldn't be there yet probably. So that's the final dividend there. So yeah, they've kind of they've put more of the dividend at the end of the year, haven't they? When they've got more sight on what the earnings are going to be, because that increase of 9.8% from quarter 4 to quarter 4 is higher than the overall 5.5% increase. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense because the later they do it, the more certainty they'll have about what revenue they'll be receiving from the companies. Yeah, here we go. 14.5p over the year is the revenue, and if we compare that to, and we're now at 97.5% covered. Right, so I mean, as you'd expect, the equity portion of the portfolio has grown faster than the rest of it, which is it makes sense because the equity part of the portfolio is the lower yielding part, so you'd expect that to happen. The property is bound to have a higher yield to start with, so it makes sense that it wouldn't grow its income as fast as the equities. Property income has risen significantly, reflecting. Alright, so they've got a new property. Yeah, because they got rid of one either last year. Yeah, I think maybe a year in last year's report, they sold one, and that was part of why the dividend cover went down last year. But it seems like they've used some of that money to buy a motorway service area. That's interesting. Bond income has fallen. The bond income has fallen. Oh, because it was sold to purchase the property. Okay. Yeah, they didn't beat their benchmark this year in total returns. By the way, that's not good in recent years. Some buyback. Yeah, so they've been doing a load of buybacks, which is accretive to NAV. Yeah, I always like to dial into these. Well, not dial in, but watch them on Zoom and stuff. And I don't think Scottish American has done this before, but I can. It says here I can join remotely. Normally you can just click and sign up on a website, but here it seems like you've got to email somebody to get there. I don't know if they're going to start asking me questions. I want to be anonymous, I use like a dummy email address when I sign up for these things. I don't want them asking me questions about who I am and how many shares I own and stuff. So anyway, we'll see what happens when I email that email address. They always ask for things like, what is your job title? You fill in the fields to like sign up, and I just have to end up putting in things like, I am the Lord and Master of the Universe, because I'm not a bloody professional investor. I'm just a retail shareholder. Why are you asking me questions that aren't relevant? Oh yeah, a bit of a surprise on Friday afternoon. Yeah, I noticed this very late on Friday. I noticed that suddenly Assura's date change for the day went to 5.45%, and I had no idea what was going on. And I did have a quick search, but yeah, it wasn't until later in the day when I saw this RNS pop up. It was after the market had closed when this RNS popped up, and yeah, so apparently they've had there was speculation about an offer coming in, an unsolicited offer for the company. So yeah, that's why it popped by about 5% late in the day for Assura. So yeah, we'll have to see how that turns out, won't we? I won't get too excited. I did look at the last yearly results for Assura, and I don't know how long ago it was, but they were last estimating their NAV as 49 pence. So I'm not sure, I can't imagine anyone bidding more than 49 pence, considering that's the NAV they have it measured at, or at least, maybe a few months ago, I don't know how long ago. So to me, the very best that offer could ever come in at is that. Even that's optimistic, I would say. But yeah, it's a nice little 25% gain if we got like the very best scenario. I doubt it would happen that well though. And if we put it in down here, we can get a proper look at the yield would go down to 4.86%. Yeah, so if something like that happened, that'd be pretty cool, because I have got my eye on supermarket income REIT with quite a high yield. It was over 9% when I first started looking at it. Yeah, it's just a high yield, and it's just like I did say that I'd look to get back into Schroeder real estate at some point. But in some ways, I feel more comfortable in the specific ones that go for a specific type of tenant. Because it feels to me like I was comfortable in Assura and Care REIT because land is always going to be needed for hospitals and care homes, I was thinking to myself. And I've got similar feelings about supermarkets. I mean, even if they're not locations for the supermarkets themselves, if the market just gradually changes to be like warehouses where supermarkets fulfill internet orders, for instance, that's how the supermarket income REIT will kind of gradually move, isn't it? But some of the things that a generalist property one would have might be shops. I don't know. I mean, maybe they kind of go away from it because they see the trends. I don't know. And offices and stuff. I don't know. I feel like also these generalist ones at the moment seem to have a lower yield and are more highly valued. So I'm thinking that if some like mega offer comes in for Assura, I might pop the money into supermarket REIT. Although I do kind of feel comfortable in the medical / care home sort of arena, really. So I'm not sure if there's a similar competitor to Assura that has similar properties. I'm not sure. Haven't put much thought into it, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I'm not sure how long it will be before they give more details. But I'd be content if they just rejected the offer and nothing happened, nothing came of it. I'd rather just let the income roll in, to be honest. Oh, sorry, yeah, there was one last thing I just added. So yeah, all of the dividend announcements we had there, I've just summarised. Where have I summarised it? Yeah, here, a little copy. So we can see, here's the differences in the dividends that have been announced this week, and if we total them all up, look at that. UPS is 61 pence roughly, increasing my dividend. So yeah, I've gone to 70. I've got increased my expected dividend by 77.58 pence for the year, and we can see there that my optimistic projection for the year is now at 10% higher than last year. It's just gone above 10%, which is nice to see. Oh yeah, and the other milestone is my pessimistic dividend here has now breached the 13,000 mark, which is cool. Nice little round number to go above. Anyway, we'll leave it there, I guess. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.